Hello, everybody. My name's Llama Joe, and welcome to my channel. All right, we are back with the letter. This is part... I figured it out. This is part 98. So, after this one, and then after the next one, and then the next... So, two more, and it'll be part 100. So... Or not part 100. This isn't part 98. I'm an idiot. This will be my 98th video, and then two more, and I will have 100 videos recorded. So, that's that. So, anyway. Well, let's get into this. The logic in it stuns me into silence, to say the least. Then, I remember his hesitance, the tone he has taken before agreeing to go here. And all at once, my anger from what he's done wanes. Partly, this is my fault for keeping things vague. I can't berate him for assuming that when I've only left him with vague answers.
You could have called me.
I did.
I didn't receive any, and my phone was with me.
You kidding, right? I was at it the whole night.
The whole atmosphere in the room changes in 2 heartbeats. Back again to the tension-riddled one plaguing us. Zachary stares at me like I've grown another head. Then gradually he shifts his attention to Isabella. The expression in his eyes, questioning, asking for a confirmation. Like my word can't be trusted. Not that I'm holding it against him. I can't even believe the things coming out of my mouth these past few hours. Meanwhile, Isabella stays quiet. Has been like that for quite some time. She looks like she wants to disappear right now. Guilt, frustration, anger, fear, all flashes fleetingly across her face before it melts away under an expression of worry.
Please tell me he's joking. You were there?
Let's read this journal entry. Because reasons. Zach arrived at Solomwell, tired and frazzled, upon learning that he had come from the Ermengarde mansion that morning. Ashley could only express his relief that he was safe, and amused Zachary teased him for worrying, much to the other man's embarrassment. So we haven't done anything on these days. I didn't realize that. And I guess we've only done stuff. Okay, well, Zach was the first entry for the 30th. But, like, really, Rebecca and Ashton are a lot on this day. Huh, interesting. For some reason, I thought we had... Well, no, because Marianne ended with the party. And that was, like, October 27th or something like that. Yeah, anyway.
No, we really didn't get any. Everything was quiet last night.
Like, it's hard to kind of remember. I've done so many parts. It's hard to remember where everything goes.
But Zach? At BRC? Ashton and I saw...
She never gets to finish that.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City. Baggers, watch out, can't beat me.
God.
Looking for
Hopefully
trouble?
that's Becca.
Better not lie.
Abruptly, my phone
I'm
rings
cool
again,
dude,
blaring its
pretty fly
badly
for an
saying
Asian
ringtone
guy.
throughout the whole room.
Sup, I'm Ash from
Both of them
Deluxe
pauses,
City.
waiting
Baggers,
when I
watch
pull
out,
up to check the
can't
caller
beat
ID.
me. Looking for trouble?
I'll tell her to get
Better
here as soon as she
not lie.
can.
I'm
Excuse
cool
me.
dude, pretty fly for an Asian
Without
guy.
another word, I slip out of the
Sup,
room
I'm
and answer
Ash
the
from
call.
Deluxe
However,
City.
the tone she assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear.
Are you there?
Ragged, a bit out of breath, there's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she has just run a marathon prior to this call.
Becca, where?
I got your message. What happened?
Nothing. Yet. Where are you?
Downtown. I had to make a quick visit to the library. Listen, Ash, about that thing Isabella has been talking about. There's something you guys need to...
Please tell me you didn't... Whatever. Save it for later. I'm at Salemwell. If you can get here as soon as possible, that'd be really great. This is... related to that.
You're there? Is Isabella with you?
Yeah, Zach too.
With a quick press of the button, I switch on the loudspeakers and step back into Isabella's apartment. Dude, it's all coming together! Oh, this is so good! I hold out the phone towards the two, giving it 2 shakes, urging them to speak. Both are still carrying worried looks on their faces. This should ease that.
Rebecca's asking for you two.
Becca? Is she okay? Hey, Becca!
Hello, Rebecca. Odd morning we're having, eh?
Hey, you two. What's happening over there? Is this something I should be worried about?
We'll tell you once you get here. Please, hurry.
I don't like the sound of that, Ash. But I'm on my way. Give me a few minutes. I'm driving.
She mumbles a goodbye, then hangs up. Becca's the last person I need to account for, yet that call left an even more strained tension in the room. Thankfully, we don't have to linger in it for too long. She only takes a matter of minutes to get here, and the second she steps in the room, Isabella clings to her.
I'm so glad you're okay. Ashton checked on you this morning, but
Everyone's here.
He did? I'm sorry. I was in a hurry. I didn't have time to drop by and let you know.
It doesn't matter. What's important is you're here.
Not burnt to a crisp or brutally murdered somewhere. Whole, alive, although she seems a bit shaken. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. At least now I can relax, ease the pressure off my shoulders, if only by some. But the minute Isabella pulls away from her, she winces. A small reaction. The younger woman doesn't even catch it. It sets a precedence for a careful observation, nevertheless. A closer look at her reveals a much more disheveled than usual. Hair in a bit of a mess, probably flattened in a hurry. The back of her dress also shows stains of dirt in places it rarely gets into. She's also leaning more on using her left arm. She's right-handed. Perhaps the most telling is the slight limp she has, noticeably once Isabella leads her into the room. It all sprouts a hatful of questions. What exactly happened and how she ended up in that state? Pretty sure a simple trip to the library won't do that. I grab for her arm before she can walk past, carefully to avoid hurting her in case there really is an injury. Seems like it at first glance, but you can't be sure until after careful examination has been made. I suspect some bruising at least. Although minor internal fractures aren't out of the equation, they have a nasty way of staying hidden. Sure enough, Becca tenses immediately upon contact. Tries to pull back, although the sudden gesture only elicits another wince, forcing her and Isabella to a halt. Both of them turn to me almost at the same time, their eyes searching mine for answers. Rebecca, for her part, doesn't appear quite pleased with the interruption, or the fact that someone has brought it to light. But that someone is also has to make sure.
You okay? You're limping.
Yay! It's back to normal. As expected, she tries to hide it. This time, when she squirms from my grasp, it's with enough force she almost stumbles back if Zach hadn't caught her by the elbow. Even with two more people shooting her concerned look, she's swift to shrug it off.
It's fine. I just had a little accident.
Little accident. Hard to believe when the other arm's nursing the supposedly fine arm. Isabella doesn't buy any of it either.
in a library?
Got him.
Well, yeah. It kinda caught me off guard.
Something's happened there, hasn't it?
I don't have to elaborate on the question further. Shortly, she goes very still, and the hand placed over her right arm shifts ever so slightly, its grip on the limb tightening. Not too firm to hurt, but just enough for a gesture of comfort for herself. Warily, she casts a glance at everyone in the room. But only the one she spares for Isabella lingers longer, and in that moment, something unspoken passes between them. An understanding. It strikes me seconds later how utterly familiar her expression is. It's the same one I've seen too many times in Isabella. Since that day at the movie house, every time her attempts to warn us have been so rudely dismissed.
Let me see.
Can we? We have to check if it's bad.
Rebecca hesitates for a moment. Then, after a minute of consideration, she sighs and reaches for the hem of her sleeve, raising it just enough for Isabella to take a good look at it. Not swollen, but a large portion of her skin starting to turn an ugly shade of purple.
Oh, that is gonna be one hell of a nasty bruise.
Tell me about it. It was a library cart that hit me. You know, the old metal ones they keep near the history section.
Ouch! Like I said, nasty.
But she's there? She went after you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was in the archives, looking something up. Suddenly, she was just there. Well, she was using my own students against me. What kind of terrible person does that? Oh, it makes my blood boil.
You should have just ran. That woman's not something you can hit with a book.
Laugh it up, Ashton. I did. Then the bloody cart came out of nowhere. And you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, I would be dead by now.
Ooh, a little yikers. The silence descends in the room as the gravity of that one word hits all of us. Dead. Another close call. Another would have. Another one we've narrowly avoided. How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, calm and composed in the face of this, is what cuts through the thick air.
I'll go get a cold compress for that arm. You guys take a seat first.
Let's read that journal entry, shall we? To Ashton and Isabel's relief, Rebecca later called back. Soon she showed up at Sawmill, looking worse for wear. When the detective asked about it, worried, all the redhead could give was a frustrated answer. Fortunately, before the topic turned grim, Isabella stepped in.
Ashton and I, we have a lot of things to talk about.
That marks the end of it, at least for the time being. And as soon as Isabella returns and hands Rebecca the cold compress she promised, we get straight down to business. Surprisingly easy, considering the rigid air in the room. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once what happened last night at BRC has been put on the table. All at once, everything we brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed have been laid out for close scrutiny. Zach's encounters with the woman in his dreams, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be, logic be damned. Or at least, that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Oh. Big ol' night change there. Yet, even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of late afternoon, and eventually night, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and everyone simply falls silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of the optimism right now, I guess.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked them out last night, right?
All of them?
Got him.
I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
You got me there, pal.
Very funny, Z-Man. Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before the open house. No one else was allowed inside during that time. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Shouldn't we look into the mansion too? That's where the letter came from. That's where she came from.
Yep.
Maybe it's just as the professor says.
Find her bones and burn them. Gotta do it supernatural style.
They did tell me there might be more to this than what I might be thinking.
Yeah. I mean, look at all this stuff Rebecca brought with her. Apparently our teachers have been lying to us all these years. So who knows?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca has brought with her and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city has been founded. Her eyes narrows with each line it passes, but lingers at the illustration of the noblewoman's servant.
Why do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Exactly. Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Yeah. Why else would these tell a completely different story? Revising what's written seems a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. But this might as well mean that what happened in that mansion years ago also equates into all of this. And the letter Isabella found is at the heart of it. The why and the how is what we're missing here. If I'm going to go by what Andrew told Zach, the connection between the letter and the mansion's curse may run deeper than what we've initially thought. We won't be able to figure out this out without thinking of the other. Fuck. How do I... The mansion's a private property now. Can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my own friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us. Before that happens, I have to put an end to this. Sigh, and I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in their eyes as they look up at me, waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few...
Oh. Oh, this is a good place to stop, but like... Damn it. I'm gonna stop here. Oh, I don't want to. Oh. I'm really tempted. Oh, one thing I do want to do, actually. Okay, made a little more progress. I'd say that brought us to, like, definitely a 6th, potentially a 5th for the way. Like, once it gets to, like here, more like, yeah, like here. Then we'll be like a quarter of the way, and then you got like half, and then like 3/4, and then you got the rest of it. So. And I'm sure this... Well... Okay, so this is going this way. And it'll lead down to this. That will lead all... Man. Making those decisions lead all the way to just this. We skip a lot of the BS. That's kind of cool. Oh, well. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. And I'll do the best I can to make it right. I'm Llama Joe, and I'll catch you guys later.